My name is Dr. Jacob Gusha. I'm an animal scientist, and we are here at Nyagasit piggery, which is being managed by Miss Letwina Nyagano. We are here to do a series of lectures or series which we aim to try and stimulate the Zimbabwean community, young and old, to start this project, Kurima nguruve, Kurima mari. A lot of people believe that pigs are the dirtiest animals on earth, yet they are the smartest animal on earth. They know where to put their feces, where to put their urine, and where to sleep, and where to get their food and water. Unless you change that scenario by stressing them, that's when they begin to think haphazardly and begin to deaden the whole pig state. So we want to look at the basics that enables the farmer to start this enterprise. So you would find out that the first thing that you need to appreciate with pig production, you don't need a lot of land. What you need is a small piece of land. Actually, it's a production for the landless. Those who have not managed to get a large pieces of land, they can venture into pig production. You just have to make sure that you have got your standard pig stays, which you can construct through proper registration. So what you have to do is, before you venture into this enterprise, you have to consult with Pig Industry Board, you have to consult with other farmers so that you get the right genetics, you are guided in terms of production of quality pig stays, you are guided according to how pigs should be produced in Zimbabwe, according to the regulations, so that you don't be found on the wrong end of the laws. If you do that, definitely you won't go wrong. Secondly, you need to make sure that your pig stays are constructed such a way that they are facing east-west, so that by the end of the day, when you are having when the sun is actually moving, it doesn't get in, because pigs are susceptible to sunburn if you allow them to be on sun. So you have to make sure that your pig stays are well constructed, adequate ventilation, allows proper circulation of air. Those things enables your pigs not to be stressed. You need a lot of water in order to make sure that there is adequate cleaning every day at around 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. The most important activity is to make sure that your pig stays are properly cleaned and thoroughly cleaned. You need to have got your detergents that enables to scrub and with a hard broom on your floors, and after that you then use your farm guard to reduce the amount of pathogens that may be in your pig stays. After that, you then actually make sure that you provide a feed which is good in terms of protein content, which is good in terms of all the nutrients that are required per day to sustain the pigs. That enables you to have pigs that grows at a very good rate. At around day 56, you can have a pig which is already weighing around 21 kgs. So it means they are the fastest growing animals on earth in terms of growth rate. They can actually be able to achieve growth rates of above a kg per day with minimum feeding. And what happens with pigs, it means for every kg of meat that you can produce from a pig, you have used around 4 kgs of feed. So that's the conversion efficiency that they have. Pig production is the most remunerating production system when it comes to livestock. It has got very quick returns in terms of dollar invested. So you would find out that there are basic issues that needs to be done properly when it comes to pig production. The first thing is to make sure that you have got your proper infrastructure that are well constructed, facing the right direction, in order not to allow the penetration of sunlight during morning and evening or allowing penetration of sunlight, which can actually cause sunburns on your pigs. Secondly, you would also want to make sure that your water system is available and you have got proper and adequate clean water for drinking for your pigs. Your pigs requires a lot of water per day in terms of cleaning the stays, in terms of drinking water, in terms of making sure that they cool themselves. So you have to make sure that water is always available. You have to make sure that you also have got quality feeds available at the farm. So when we are talking about pig production, we are talking about an enterprise that requires about 60 to 70% of your variable cost being accounted by feed cost. So when you are venturing into pig production, you need to make sure that you have got the right genetics. So in genetics, Zimbabwe currently we have got a number of breeds, which are the most dominant one being the large white, the landrace, the Duroc, and currently the South African breed that is coming, which is called the Daland. And you can also have got your Mkota as a pig breed. So in Zimbabwe, those are the 5 major breeds that we have. In most cases, you would find out that the choice is based on productivity efficiency, which is, for example, the landless are known for their mothering ability. The large white are also known for their large litter sizes. So you would find out that if you are going to have a crossbreed dam, which is going to be made up of a landrace and a large white, you may have a pig that can actually give you up to greater than 12 piglets per farrowing. So those are some of the most important things that we need to look at and when you want to make money from pig production. So if you are going to be choosing a pig, a breed, you need to choose a breed that is highly productive, that gives you a very large litter size, that you've got the fastest or the greatest growth gains per day. So if you are going to be getting pigs that are going to grow at a very good rate, you can actually be able to achieve the 18 to 20 kgs at around 8 weeks. So the feed conversion rates are determined by the quality of feed that you are going to be providing to your pigs. So you would find out that a farmer who is going to use feed that is well formulated with the right amount of protein content, with the right profile of amino acids, then definitely you are likely to get a feed that enables your pigs to grow at a very good rate. You would find out it ranges from around 500 grams per day to more than 1.2 kgs per day in terms of growth rate, depending on size and intake. So most of these improved breeds that we talked about, the large white, the landrace, the Duroc, the Daland, they tend to have that good feed conversion efficiency. But when we are talking about our local breed, the indigenous, which is what you call Mkota, it tends to have a lower weight gain per day. So the amount of time that you require for you to mature your pigs to become porkers and go to the market tend to be also increased if you are going to be using Mkota. But if you are going to be using the best improved breeds, the Daland, the landless, the large white, then definitely if you want a porker of around 60 kgs, it means it will take you around 16 weeks. So within 16 weeks, you can actually be able to produce an animal which is around 60 kgs, and at that rate, if you are going to slaughter it, you get around 70% dressing out percentage, which means you are going to get more than around 45 kgs of meat from that animal within 16 weeks. So it means if you are going to multiply that by an average of $3 per kg, definitely you see how you can actually easily make money from pig production within 16 weeks or within a period which, if you are going to be in layers, probably you will be still talking about your pullets still waiting to become hens that can actually lay an egg. So it's something that can be done by farmers because pig production it's a very remunerating enterprise. To add on that, if you have got the right breed, you then need to make sure that you have got the right environment. A stressful environment tend to also affect the growth rate, because if an animal is stressed, definitely it exposes it to other challenges, which could be health challenges. So definitely you need to make sure that you have reduced the stress levels by feeding the right feed, by providing the right accommodation, by providing the right environment which is clean. The environment should be clean enough to enable the pig to actually grow at the right weight gain per day. So there are different categories of pigs that are supposed to be at the farm at each and every time if you are going to be a commercial pig producer. One, you need to have got the most important animal on the farm, which is the boar. If you have got the boar with the right fertility, with the right libido, with the right traits, definitely the traits will be transferred to its progeny. So you have got to have a very good boar, and in most cases we recommend that one boar should be given around 8 to 15 sows as breeding ratio. You need also to have your sows. In most cases, sows should be kept at the farm for about a maximum of about 4 years. Beyond 4 years, you are likely to have problems, because in most cases it will have actually parturated more than 8 times. So you need to make sure that you have got your breeding programs that enables you to have a sow that can be active in breeding for about 8 farrowing periods, or slightly less if you have got good quality genetics where you can actually select from. So you also need to have got your gilts. Gilts, in most cases we recommend that they are supposed to be selected at around 4.5 months. You start seeing those that should be able to start cycling, reaching puberty, coming on heat. But in most cases we wait without breeding them until they reach around 7 months of age. That's when you can then start actually breeding. So if you are selecting your gilts, if they don't show signs of estrus within the first 6 months of age, definitely they seem not to be good gilts. So you may actually take those animals to the abattoir. So when you are selecting as well, you need to make sure that they have got adequate number of nipples, which are teeth. They need to have about 7 at each side, making it around an average of around 14 functional teeth that can be seen. You also need to avoid those that have got inverted umbilical hernias, or those with problem of inverted vulvas. They need to be avoided. The other animal that is very critical at the farm is the piglet. They are supposed to be born averaging around 1.3, so that you also be able to make sure that their growth rate is actually at the right stage. You need to avoid those that are born lower than 900 grams, because they tend to be the runs and they tend to be the most problematic piglets. So when you are looking at that profile of categories of pigs, you also need to make sure that each of those pigs is fed with the right type of feed. When it comes to these classes of pigs that I have mentioned, that we have got your boar, your sow, your gilt, your piglets, your weaners, and your growers. If you are looking at 5 or 6 categories that I've mentioned, each category has to be fed with the right feed. So you'd find out that the first category of feed is the one that is given to your piglets from the age of around day 3 up to weaning, which is at around day 56. So you would find out that during that phase you are going to be feeding what we call creep feed, which should be around a 22% crude protein content, made up of soybean meal and maize meal, and a bit of mineral and vitamin premix. So you find out that quality feed should enable your pigs to grow at the right age. If you have got another source of animal-based protein source, you can actually add there in order to make sure that you address or you adjust your amino acid profile for the greater growth of your animals. You then have to make sure that from day 56 going forward, you then actually give your pigs a feed that we now call weaner feed, which can actually be able to be fed to your pigs before you move on to the grower's feed. Then from the grower's feed, you move on to the boar and sow meal for the boar, for those breeding stock. So if you've got your breeding stock animals, they are going to be fed the boar and sow meal. You can also feed then the lactating sow feed, which is going to be given to those dams that are lactating. So those are some of the things that you need to make sure that each category of your pig is given the right quality of feed, the right quantity of feed, the right amount of feed, reducing a lot of wastages, which enable actually increasing the bill in terms of feed cost. The main differences in terms of these feeds is the level of protein content, the level of minerals and vitamin. You would find out that when you are talking about lactating sow, probably there will be more energy, a bit of more protein, as well as high calcium and phosphorus, which are very important nutrients that are also required by your growing piglets. So you would find out that for them to produce good quality milk, you need to make sure that you adjust those nutrients that are supposed to be in the milk by providing them to the sow. Then you would also find out that in your boar and sow meal, there is a bit of balance in terms of the minerals and the vitamin. They also balance in terms of protein and energy, because you would find out that the protein content should be around 15%. But when you are talking about your grower's meal, the protein content goes to about 18%. So the major differences in terms of this feed is the amount of nutrients, the density of nutrients per kilogram. You increase the density of nutrients as the animal, the younger the animal, the more nutritious the feed is, because you want to try and make sure that your levels of nutrients in terms of protein, in terms of minerals, in terms of vitamin is actually going to meet its nutrient requirement, also in relation to feed intake per day. In order to be successful, you need to make sure that your pigs or your sows, they farrow. Farrow in pigs is that the process of giving birth. So they need to farrow around 2.3 times per year. It means what we are saying about 2.3 times per year is we are saying within 50 days, within 150 days, you need to have a pig that becomes pregnant and gives birth, and you go through the process of looking after the piglets. Then you wean it at around day 35, 7 weeks after from the date of maturation. So for you to be able to do that, you need to make sure that you understand the principles of pig breeding. Pig breeding is about identifying sows or gilts that are on heat. How do you identify a sow on heat? It becomes restlessness. It becomes someone looking outgoing, mounting others. And if you touch at the back of the sow, it takes what we call a lordosis reflex, or it stands still, which is a sign to tell you that it is on heat. And if you identify a sow or a gilt that is in heat, you need to make sure that you adopt an AM/PM rule in terms of breeding. AM/PM rule, that's when you breed them. If you see it in the morning that it is on heat, you breed it in the evening, breed it the following morning. And if you are using a boar, you can also breed it 12 hours later. So it means you can have 12 hours gaps between mating them. So you'll be mating the animals through hand assistant mating, where you are trying to make sure that you assist the boar to penetrate and enable to deposit the sperms in the right position for them to conceive. But before you do that, you also need to make sure that your sows and gilts, before you allow them to breed, you do what we call flushing. Flushing allows your pigs to release more eggs. That enables your litter size to be huge enough. So if you want to have a litter size which is big, you need to make sure that you flush your pigs. Flushing is when you increase the amount of feed, the amount of energy content in your diet. Actually, you can formulate a diet which is specific for flushing by increasing your energy levels, increasing your protein levels, so that you boost the amount of the number of oocytes, which are the eggs that are going to be released, so that at mating there is that conception, then you have got a lot of embryos. So those are the critical issues. Your boar should always be fed properly. Allow it not to go beyond 3 weeks without mating. That actually have its own problems. So you want to make sure that you have got a boar which is in the best body condition score. You have got your sows that are in the best body condition score, and that you have got proper cycles that are experiencing adequate estrus. So you'd find out that estrus in itself is about 21 days. So within 21 days, you need to find out that you can actually, so you can then be able to check those that have been bred if they have successfully conceived. So those are the most critical issues that you want to make sure that you follow. Then after breeding, you expect your sow to go through about 115 days of gestation. We normally want to shorten it to say your sow, the pregnancy, the duration of pregnancy in pigs is about 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds. When your sow is around day 77, we also advise farmers to start what we call steaming up. Steaming up is also a process of increasing the amount of feed that you offer to your sows in order to make sure that you are reducing the chances of having your runs, the chances of having underweight piglets that are problematic when it comes to enable them to survive. Because you'd find out that pigs are born without a lot of without fat. They cannot actually regulate their temperature environment. So you need to make sure that you provide for everything. So if you are going to provide for everything, you need a piglet that is born strong. Those that are born strong and heavier tend to have a better chance of surviving compared to those that are born weakling. Because those that are born weakling and runt, they tend to have problems to survive. So those are some of the major issues that you need to make sure that you really appreciate. So steaming up is from day 75 up to around day 110. Then you can actually relax there, reduce the amount of feed, so that you also reduce the chances of constipation during calving. If you want to increase your fat content in your feed, so that it acts as a laxative effect in terms of lowering the chances of constipation, which normally causes also problems during farrowing. You also want to make sure that you don't need to overfeed your sows, because overfeeding can actually lead to dystocia and other challenges that you end up actually finding in your pigs. So those are the major issues that you should also be worried about. There are also supposed to be routine vaccinations, routine cleaning with farm guards, routine cleaning with acaricides to try and treat manges and other things. You need to make sure that you don't venture into this production blindly. The growth rate, weekly, monthly growth rate. If you are going to be weighing, then you look at the amount of feed consumed. That enables you to have that appreciation of the cost that you are incurring. The issue of biosecurity is of paramount importance. You need to make sure that your pig stays in an enclosed environment.